About 2 years ago, Todd and the social impact team produced a global impact report for Zendesk. One of the things stood out to me. A large percent of our carbon emissions as a company was from running our data centers. I didn't like that. Some people can say, well, Amazon need to be able to move to renewable energy and reduce that carbon footprint, but we also need to be responsible ourselves. And it got me thinking about what we could do. So I spoke with Todd and I said to him, can we offset these emissions? And Todd came back to me and said, yes, we can. It's going to cost $20,000 to offset all of these emissions. And it didn't quite make sense to me. We're spending $60 million a year to run thousands of computers around the world that are always on, and it was going to cost $20,000? Naively, I went and sort of moved in and said, well, let's do it. We bought these offsets in Indonesia to stop a forest from being teared down. It didn't really sit well with me. We're creating new carbon, like coal is being burned to power these servers, and that's creating emissions. And if we're paying for trees not to be chopped down, it didn't really make sense. Like, they're already there taking carbon out of the atmosphere. We need to be adding things to really offset that. So that was the thing which started me thinking about what should we be doing? How can we really make a positive impact and leverage the strong position which we're in as a technology company?
Zendesk has been investing in carbon offsets since 2018. And what we've learned is that the market for carbon offsets is really designed to slow the addition of carbon into the atmosphere. But that's still not going to be enough. We're still going to need to travel. We're still going to need to run data centers, commute our employees to offices. All these things require us to invest in carbon offsets and or carbon removals. And we think that carbon removal is the way to go.
The framework has really stuck with me. Measure, reduce, and remove. We have to get better at measuring and being able to forecast out the future. As we grow as an organization, we may have more impact on the environment just because we're going to run more servers every single year. Then we need to be able to reduce. Look at where that impact is coming from and be purposeful about pulling it down. One of the areas where we've made wins in the last year is working directly with AWS to apply pressure to them to accelerate their shift away from carbon-dense energy to renewable energy. And they've been able to give us incredible intel on ways which we can actually accelerate our transition to renewable energy. There's a huge amount of carbon we need to pull out of the atmosphere. That's sort of the removal part. If we can work on all of those items at the same time, I think we've got a really good chance of setting a good example for the rest of the tech companies. At just one step at a time, we can actually create a huge movement.
So as part of this program, we're really excited to introduce you to two companies that we've been working with. The first one is Charm Industrial, and the second one is Carboculture.
So Charm's process works like this. We take agricultural residue like corn stalks or timber slash or these other forms of waste biomass that aren't used at all today. We heat it up in a machine called a pyrolyzer, and that produces this liquid carbon messy goop that's kind of like crude oil but very watery. We take that carbon soup and we inject it deep underground into depleted oil fields, where it actually solidifies within 24 hours and then becomes permanently stored in those areas.
Nature draws down hundreds of billions of tons of carbon annually, but also re-releases it. So we developed a technology to capture some of that carbon and turn it into a permanent form, which is biocarbon. The entire carbon removal scene and the market is so in its early days, and it's so exciting to see a lot of different players get into this market because the impact that we need to have in this decade and in the decades to come is so enormous that no one company is going to do it alone. Finally, we are doing real things about climate change. We are doing actual carbon removal impact, and there are partners like you who want to be a part of that. And so finally things are moving forward, and that's such a relief, and now we just need to speed it up.
So what we're trying to do with the purchasing of these carbon removal credits is really help these companies scale the technology that they're building so that it becomes cheaper for other companies to be able to do that, and really adds to a portfolio of options that we all have to be able to reduce carbon out of the atmosphere in the next 20 years. And so you can see that this already is helping us drive towards this vision of being able to be carbon neutral, at least in the engineering infrastructure that we've created, and that our customers could benefit from.
There's little steps everyone can take. If you're an engineer, you can write a more efficient system. Make sure that you've got your scaling correctly and that you've right-sized the servers so that we're not just spinning cycles for the sake of it and burning more electricity than we need to. We have to be incredibly purposeful as an organization about how we can, all of us, play a part in just reducing down our energy consumption.
To those of you who are Zendesk employees, thank you so much for your support. It is incredibly valuable as we deploy our first-of-kind process and also then start to scale up in the years to come. So thank you.
Thank you so much for being on this journey with us. It really means a lot to us to have early supporters really seeing that what we're doing is important. So thank you.
I have a sense of pride, I guess, about that we're able to do this type of thing at Zendesk. That's exciting to me. I already liked working at Zendesk before we were doing this type of stuff. I love it. But the fact that we also have an opportunity to leverage the strong position we are in as an organization, the size of organization we are, to make a little bit of an impact, just even a little bit, is really exciting to me.